get balls in the meeting.
I don't give him time back. Nobody introduced me.
You were on time.
Okay, so this is our third session, having the creative finance, and I'm actually closing out the stuff that we started off with the first session, and that is barriers to essentially your success. So how many have been with us since the first session? Just kind of quickly raise your hand. Good. How many from the second session? Okay, good. So this one is going to close it off. We're gonna quickly recap some of that so that way you can see some of these examples as well.
Not that one.
Okay, that's probably not that one.
The one on the side.
There you go.
There it goes.
All right, so quickly, our agenda. We don't have a speaker this time. We're not doing an exchange session this time. We're going to quickly spin through our barriers. We're going to have a little bit of time for a financial calculator problem for everyone. Then we're going to open it up for anyone who has a deal, and we can help work on that. And then afterwards, yeah, it's networking time. And you didn't bring meatballs, right?
No.
Oh, okay, so there's no meatballs.
No.
Oh,
That was the 2 o'clock get on the road, not 5 o'clock get on the road.
Okay, so one of the things I like to lead off this session with is what Pete oftentimes recites as he does his sessions. Bill Cook does this as well, and so this is something that they picked up from Jack Miller, and that is, it is inconvenient to be physically alive and financially dead. Okay, so
How often do you say that to yourself?
I don't get to speak to sellers directly, but I can imagine myself saying it every single time.
And I've shared that dozens of times, and it's amazing how much it makes them think about whether they're sure they're going to die in 5 years, so they need to balloon. You know, Jimmy always said the only person he knew that knew exactly when he was going to die was his cousin, and that's because the warden told him.
So is there someone who does not understand what this means? Because it is important to learn. So the way that Pete explains it, he has a friend who he had been buying houses from, and so the friend just kept selling off everything, and over time Pete is making the payments, and on the last property, on the last payment, Pete drove out to see his friend in person and delivered that check, put the check in his hand. This is the last check you're ever going to see from me unless you have another property you can sell me. And so what was the problem that the friend had at that point?
more properties?
No more additional income because he had sold everything off. He didn't expect to be around that long. I guess it was, the story goes that he was buying about 20 years or
He
something.
was 77 years old, and Pete asked for 40-year financing so he could get nice cash flow. And the guy said, "Pete, I'm 77 years old. I don't even buy green bananas." And he took his last check because he only financed for 20 years instead of for the 40 that he should have. So he got his last check when he was 97 years old.
Yeah. So if you are planning your own obsolescence, that's fine. But if you have this habit of potentially staying around longer, make sure your money lasts as long as you do. In fact, you need to go ahead and plan for it to last longer than you. And if you have a favorite niece, nephew, son, daughter, spouse, whatever, or are in need of one, I can be available to. then plan for something to pass on. Okay, and if you do have something that you're going to pass on, keep me in mind. Product handy isn't available to
My daughter. You can adopt my daughter. It's allowed.
But make sure that you take care of yourself before you can take care of others, right? So plan for your own time and make sure you're covered. What does Pete say himself? And Andy explains this very well. So I'll let him go through this one as well.
Pete says that you can use what you want to get what you need to get what you want. This is the most common way to acquire a house that is used in the United States. People use a promise, they sign a piece of paper to get a mortgage, on a mortgage, to get a loan, and then they exchange the loan for the house they want. Use what you want to get what you need to get what you want. And if you're trying to get rid of something, use what you need to get what you need to get what you want. Questions?
Yeah.
Use what you need to get rid of something. You're going to use what you need, something you need to get rid of. See restaurant tables in the back of Andy's truck that need to be gone away. Use what you need to get what you need to get what you want.
So take a look at this carefully. Does this say that use what you have? No. It says use what you want. So what you could be using could actually belong to someone else. Okay? So, where we started off with, this is building the foundation for most people. Most people have barriers. I know I did when I first started. So many of these things I had gone through and started listing down. I'm sure some of these will resonate with you as well. Okay, and from our first session, there's something that, as I brought this up and spoke about it, I asked people, what is it that you also have as a barrier? And Evan brought up something that was very interesting because he mentioned something that I did not even think about at that point in time, and that is fear, right?
Right.
And if you follow this, if you're a member of the club, you also have access to the Facebook group for Inland Empire. You will see that I put a posting up there, and we'll cover part of that as well. And we talk about that. And so that was what I call my aha moment, that I realized that, yes, I had eliminated the word fear from my vocabulary for the majority of the things that I do. It never even came to my mind to even list this, and I'm sure that when I first started out, this is probably number one. Okay, and so just quickly, does anyone have something that is not up here right now? Yes, Dale.
You can have fear, you can also lack energy.
You don't have the energy to do
Sometimes
it?
you gotta do stuff and you just don't have the energy to do it.
Yeah, you could have that. Anyone else? I'm sure there's plenty of different
Could
things.
be when you're not having people around you that are supportive as well. I think that could
True.
be a real damper on what you're
Depends on your personality, though. Depends on your personality. My parents learned when I was probably 12 that if they wanted me to accomplish something, all they had to do was tell me it was impossible. Because I'm a very contrary individual. So you tell me it can't be done, there's no way to buy a house with no money, there's no way to get a house for free, I just have to go out and do it. So, don't believe it.
Well, I had my sister say that. I've seen all those things that say you can do it with little money, no money. I don't believe it. That was when I was doing one for her, and yeah, that's how I got started.
Nice
No
to
money.
train up our families.
For me, it was anything my parents just said no to. This is interesting, and so there's a lot of stuff about that.
That's a long story, huh?
I was a problem child. Okay, so I picked this up from Bill Tam, and Bill Tam was here last week for our exchanger session. How many of you got to know Bill Tam at that time, or did you already know Bill Tam? Good guy to know. He goes through this. This is something I remember as well. So this is something that I want to go ahead and present to everyone. Okay, so let's go through some of the examples. And most of the examples, if you've gone to our first session, second session, you know that I pulled these from our exchanger session because we want everyone to be knowledgeable about how to go ahead and do different deals, okay? And then breaking through your fears, obviously, is the major part of that. So when you attend the exchanger session, if you're timid, if you don't know how to structure a deal, if you're concerned you don't have money, if you're thinking that, hey, I don't have a property, or maybe I don't have time, as Dale mentioned, I don't have the knowledge of how to go ahead and do something, or you want to allow that to stop you. What we're trying to say is that don't allow that to stop you. Meet people in the club because everyone's going to know something that you don't know. And perhaps you have a skill, or you have knowledge, or you have experience, or other resources that someone else can use. So network with the other people. That is the way to get things done.
Arush made the mistake of telling me he couldn't fund an IRA because he was only 17. So I got half for him. He's taken the $3,000, using it to open his very first Roth IRA. And I'm going to help him put it out and earn 15% with that for the rest of his life.
And I think with Arush, this was maybe his third time coming to exchangers with his dad.
Yeah, second or third.
Yeah. So he's 17 years old. He may or may not have money, but he certainly got some money. He may not have the experience, but he got that.
I have a quick calculated challenge for all of you 10B II addicts out there. What's that $3,000 going to be worth when he is 67 if he invests it at an average of 15%?
No additional.
Just that one $3,000.
Say 15%?
Yeah, anybody can do that. 5 million, that's what you got. That nice gift to curse some youngster with $5 million when they're retired. 50. 50 orange button. Yeah. The eighth wonder of the world is compound interest.
Yes.
All right.
Somebody want to read off the number?
What's the exact number?
5,177,741.77
Everybody agree? Cool. We all know how to use our calculator.
So if Social Security is dead at that time, would he care?
You mean if the Ponzi scheme implodes like every other Ponzi scheme that's ever been proposed? I have to admit, total shock, Dale, and you're only a little younger than me. I am totally shocked that it's actually there, so I can start taking it this year. Because I never thought I'd see a penny of it. Not that I put hell of a lot in. Being basically unemployed. And unemployable.
So how many of you at the age of 17 have done a deal like this?
I
had no
lent out
idea.
money and someone never paid me back.
Okay, yeah, that happens too.
You know what you call that? An education. And if it was to a family member, you call it a blessing, because you don't see them. Do it once, they'll never ask for money again. Or when they do, you can go, you remember that note?
So, what's the average age, do you think, that people start off and start doing something in real estate?
30, 47,
35.
In California or in the rest of the country?
Anywhere.
In California, it's older than 30. In the rest of the country, I think it's younger than 30.
I think it's been getting older and older. The older as kids stop growing up.
Yeah.
What's the statistics say?
Yeah. So typically it's going to be in your 40s. So you're already working. You probably have a family. You're wondering how to go ahead and get additional income. You've wondered how to go ahead and pay your own bills, right? So this is when people start looking at alternatives. And this is potentially when you might start looking at how do I tap my 401k if I have that? How can I increase my savings, or how can I leverage my savings? So imagine being able to go and do just one deal like this at the age of 17. Okay, that's not bad. Now, he's come to at least one other exchanger session that I recall, maybe one more. That's why I said it maybe is his third one. Imagine how if he came only to exchanger sessions. This is once a week education. Every session is different. Every session essentially is a master class on how to do creative deals. We help each other make a deal work. Somebody will have some kind of resource that someone else will not have. And oftentimes we'll team together to go ahead and, at least at a very high level, make a deal work. And then we do the due diligence following that. Now imagine that you're at the age of 17, you borrowed money, someone's going to teach you how to invest this money, you learn how to do that. Okay, and you start learning just by watching, just by attending the 2-hour session that we have on a weekly basis. You start observing how these deals are done. You start participating in some. You may even say to Andy or myself, well, I don't know how to make this offer. And we will say, well, your name is, okay, and what is it that you want to go ahead and do? Do you want to make an offer? Do you have something to put up? And we'll help you structure, the item that we put up on the board. We'll help you structure your offer. So that way, your offer is what works for you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the offer that's taken. But now at least you get an idea of how to do this. And then as you go through the process, you understand what offers work at that moment, because the person who is receiving that offer might be looking for something specific. Maybe not. Okay? So you learn how to make these offers. You make these offers often enough, what's going to happen? Yeah, might actually get one accepted, right? Okay, so what does Bill Cook say? How many offers do you need to go ahead and do each week to have deals happen?
15.
5 a day?
Okay, so 5 a day, he's doing this Monday through Friday, so that's about 25. So, yeah, his number is around 25 a week. He will keep door knocking until he has done 25 offers for that week. And depending on how many he's been able to go ahead and do, if it's like Wednesday, he might even do another day. Try and get 30. Just push. This is door knocking, so this is very time consuming. Okay? So oftentimes when people say to us, I can't find any deals, and what's the number one thing that we ask them?
How many offers did you write last week?
Yeah.
Last month? Last year? What do you think the average is?
0.
0.
Yeah, big surprise.
There's a lot of zeros to overcome. The people that haven't gotten involved. Now, what's the next slide say, my friend?
Andy, I have
Yes.
to say, you guys would say this to me. I'd show up at these meetings, and Bill Tan would say, well, how many offers did you make? And I'd say, well, none. And finally, I made my first offer, and I said, I think you should give me your house for free. They rejected my offer. I thought they should pay me to take their house off their hands, but the free was generous.
How much generous? Did you point out what you were relieving them from? Their uninsured vacant house?
No, they had just bought it at an auction themselves.
Okay.
And they bought it for $15,000. And I thought, they bought a piece of junk for $15,000. They should just give it to me. I'll take care of it.
But to broke the ice, you got your first offer, right?
That was my first offer.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and after that, it was usually more than I've seen for it for free. But still, it took a while, and you guys kicked my butt plenty times before we made my first offer.
We do that.
Okay, so we talked about education, and so that falls under I have no knowledge. So here's on one session, we actually have 3 different offers of education, some with cash, some without. So who's been to Exchange again? What's odd about this one that I just brought up that you haven't
Not just
seen?
money, it's things.
What's that?
It's not just money, it's things.
Knowledge.
Yeah, it's not just money, but it's things, but there's something else missing here. Okay, so I'll give you,
Something else.
there's no offers. No one made an offer on any one of these. You don't see any other boxes with lines pointing to them.
I thought Rich made an offer to Bill Tam for his class. Not the me.
Yeah, not on this.
Oh, not me. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. See, so oftentimes you'll see us put these things up. Okay, I also do something with Oria. I also do other things from time to time. Here's literally three stacked on top of each other. No one made an offer on any of this education. So I have to assume that everyone that attended that exchanger session had all the education, had all the knowledge that they needed. Okay?
Greg, how many times have you had Craftus?
Just like I think twice.
Twice. I think I've done 3 times. You can't take that class. How about you? How many more?
I only one, and I need to go a second time.
Yeah. Great class.
Yeah, I've taken it and I try and attend all the monthly sessions, which are included with that. Essentially, it's another mastermind session that's done for free. And so you get to speak with Bill. He'll help you solution something, and you have all the Creftus alumni. This is the creative finance class. So this is a class that has a lot of experienced people in there doing a lot of different things. So the fact no one even made some kind of offer to that was kind of surprising. But this is the kind of stuff that we bring up at exchangers from time to time. It's not every single time. It just could be there one day and maybe you won't see it for months after that. So let's spin through these again and again and again. I don't have fear up here. So we are actually, and I promised Evan that I was going to touch upon that. Because I have not had that in my vocabulary for some time, at least for the dealings that I have. And so if I were in a perfectly good airplane, would I go ahead and jump out of it?
Yes.
Sure. I make sure I have a parachute first. If I were to go ahead and do that, I'd be fine shoving somebody else out first. But for myself, probably not. Okay, so for some things, yeah, I do have fear. But for a lot of this real estate stuff, this is what I realized. Because I've gone through, built out my network, I've gone through a lot of education. I don't have this because now I recognize what it is I'm comfortable in doing. I will do those things. I will work in other areas that I'm not knowledgeable in with people who are in my network who can also help me. So I mentioned the Facebook group that Internet Empire has, and recently I posted this up, and this is based upon what Evan mentioned. And I saw this, this is quite apropos.
I can't remember. FIRE used to be a good acronym for some.
False evidence appearing real is one of them.
Okay. Yeah. I can't remember because I don't fear much.
That's the one I
I used to fear unemployment, and I realized I liked it.
Here's some of the comments that we got. It was very interesting reading and replying back to these. So see how much of this rings true for you. Okay, again, before you can do anything creatively, you have to be able to make an offer on something. You have to be able to break through those barriers. You have to eliminate what it is that is going to make you say no and then figure out how to say yes to something. Okay, how to overcome any kind of barrier that your mind will put up. It's very easy. You see a deal and it's for $1 million. Okay, and they will not do seller financing. right away. Well, you have $1 million in your pocket? Oh, probably not.
You could.
Yeah, but you could. Okay? If you think that they say they will not do seller financing, did you ask? Did you explain what you had in mind? Did you ask the right questions that maybe will change that person's mind? Okay, so what could change a person's mind?
What if a person wants $1 million for that house? That's a lot of money for a house.
Right.
In the event that I could pay you $2 million for your house, is there any reason that you wouldn't rather have $2 million for your house than $1 million?
Right.
And who could answer yes to that? Anybody?
It'd be pretty easy, right? And if you have a realtor who is basically looking at, well, here's all these lowball offers, this is what I know of from creative financing, or that perhaps my commission's going to be in danger or things like that, and you talk to the agent first and say, well, okay, you get paid on commission, right? Yeah. And if you get an offer that's higher than what you're currently listing it at, you would make more money, right? Yeah. Okay. So if I make an offer that's greater than what you're asking for, do you have any problems with this? Do you have any objections if we make this offer? I guess not.
What else did we get on that call?
It all touches upon the different things that either I listed before or no one else has mentioned. So think about it. What stopped you from making offers on something? Any kind of offer. This is what we're trying to break through. This is why we spent 3 sessions, our first 3 sessions, to go through these objections, overcome them, and then at that point, as you start learning how to make creative offers on different things, how to structure different things, we should not be hearing, but, and I should not be hearing, I have no money, I have no time, I have no knowledge, I have no experience, I'm too old, I'm too young, it's too soon to do something, or it's too late to do something. Okay, this is why I'm asking everyone, okay, what do you have as a barrier that we can, either myself, Andy, or even the entire group, can try and offer different solutions to? Just one. Anything. Yes?
For me personally, I feel like imposter syndrome. Sometimes I'll do my numbers and stuff, and I'll be ready for like an offer, and then I'll think about it, call them, and then I'm talking to them, and just because I don't want to seem wrong or like believe it's too good to be true, that I it's like a barrier. Like subconsciously, I know I'll get off the phone call and not, offered like different strategies for closing the deal. Because whatever agent I do on market stuff, so it's like whatever agent I'm talking to just speaks with so much more conviction and like also just airheaded sometimes. Sometimes they're cool, sometimes they're not. But
this person with the license, what kind of person is he? What does he have?
Nothing.
There's a word for him that starts with B.
I don't know. But I just think that's what it is. For me, like it's just like okay, maybe my numbers are too good to be true. So maybe he doesn't, because I'm also in the market, like not in California.
Have you ever heard him called a broker?
Yeah.
You know why? Because they're broker than everybody else. How many rental houses does a typical real estate agent own? Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just good at sounding self-important. And they're really good at following directions, which is why we don't get along really well.
And generating paperwork. It generates
28 pages.
insane amounts of paperwork.
Anyway,
Goodwin. One of the things with fear also is early on, and I still get this from people, and I think about it when someone says, hey, that's a $2 million deal, which is out of a normal area, is, yeah, you're afraid, you might have a fear of making an offer, but you also have a fear sometimes of someone saying yes to what you're offering. Because you're like, crap, what if they say yes? So I know a lot of people have that forever in their life. What if they say yes? So
who here has had an, oh crap, I said yes moment.
You have to figure out.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do that and call your friends and figure out how to get it done.
Exactly.
Made a couple of those calls to you.
You know,
Yeah.
that is an interesting problem to have. And so let's say you have now the signature on a contract. Okay, what can you do with that contract? Bring it to exchangers. Put it up on the board. I have a property. Okay, who would like to work with me on this property? Who would like to go ahead and take over this? Right? That's a good problem to have. Success can be daunting at times.
Goodwin, I have a question for his comment about having imposter syndrome. What do you guys suggest to kind of encourage someone like that, like where they're right there, but then they don't take that step to an offer?
See, because I heard two different things. I heard you say imposter syndrome, which is what most of us have had until we realized that fake it till you make it really works. When I was, how old are you?
25.
I was about your age. When I was sitting in my parents' bedroom on the bed with a clipboard and a sheet of paper, making offers to real estate agents and getting title reports from title companies. And I was really good at sounding like a big business, but I sure didn't look like one. And I couldn't, back in those days, you don't understand this, but it used to be a title report, a property profile would get couriered out to you within an hour of asking for one. Yeah, great service back then. Only problem is, I'm a 20-something sitting on my mom's bed using the extension phone, because they were all attached to the wall back then. I know you'd understand. So I'd always lie, and I would say, well, my brother-in-law works just around the corner from the plant. So he'll have a break at lunch, and I'll send him over, he can pick up. Then I go pick it up. So, yeah, we've been there. But what you said, when you started describing it, it sounded more like analysis paralysis.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's a different thing. Imposter syndrome, and then there's
It's like
analysis
too good to be
paralysis.
true. That's when I feel like it's imposter syndrome for me. It's like it's too good to be true. I don't know, like, and then I talk to, I got yelled at by an agent the other day.
Hey, you're doing it right.
Yeah.
They yelled at you before they hung up. Excellent.
It's the conviction on there. And sometimes I'm not really like, because I don't care if this deal doesn't go through. If they don't want to see like their numbers, if they don't want to see them, that's fine with me. There's other stuff out there. But it's just like when it's too good to be true, I feel like I still doubt myself. So analysis paralysis. imposter syndrome.
To me, analysis paralysis kills more potential investors.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends, yeah, Greg.
I'm just kind of thinking about this situation, and the first question I ask you is, did you make the offer anyway?
Yeah.
Good.
It's in there, right?
Great.
And sometimes we get so fixated on a price when that's not the solution that your seller's looking for. They're looking to solve a problem. We all transact in real estate for a reason. The reason isn't usually just cash, right?
Yeah.
It's because I don't want to manage it anymore. I inherited it, don't know what to do with it, right? So if you can make sometimes a sufficiently vague offer that addresses more of those questions, those needs, those benefits, you might get a question back, and that's when they get engaged. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Greg.
So I'm going to add something to that as well. So at the age of 25, I was a computer programmer. I was working for a company. And when you talk about doing analysis, yeah, I did a lot of analysis. And when I ran my code, my modified code, I'd see what the results were. And sometimes it would take me hours to develop it, to get to the right solution. Other times, it could just take me a few minutes. And then, if it was a few minutes, I must have done something wrong. I go back and recheck, my inputs, manually go through and calculate it out, make sure that it's coming out correctly, and see, okay, did it mess up some other data along the way? Did I make some other kind of mistake? Okay, at the end of all that, I got a paycheck. okay, at the end of what you were doing at the age of 25, okay, by the time you were my age, right now, 66, look at all the offers you are going to make. Look at all that money that you are making for yourself and not for someone else. Okay? You are just building experience. Not all the offers are going to be accepted. So have you had an offer accepted at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You are a professional now.
Yeah. And so,
Go ahead.
so if in doubt, then your numbers sound too good to be true, because that's what I heard. Okay. You have someone that has the same knowledge, the same experience, the same training. Okay, look around in this room. I'll bet there's somebody, I bet there's probably 10 here that know the same things that you do. At least 10.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay, and so when you build up your network, okay, you can give this to somebody else, or you can just leave the address out, right? Have them, hey, go through this and see what you think. Okay, do these numbers make sense to you? Well, this is what, if all these numbers are true, I come up with the same result that you do. Okay, if someone comes up with something different, you have another pair of eyes doing quality control for you. Okay, which means that same thing, you have learned something from that experience, you see what potentially you missed, now you add that into your checklist. Okay, if that person ever wants to favor return, hey, I'm a little bit busy, can you work out these numbers for me? Okay, you can do the same thing, give the numbers back, okay, you've just returned that favor. All right, can you two now actually do deals together? Right? One's actually out there making the offers, the other one's just rechecking numbers, things like that. Yeah. Okay. So look at the difference. Okay, you're making things happen. It may not look like that. It may be scary, right? First time you make an offer, it's always scary. Maybe the first dozen times you make an offer, it's scary. So before I started doing what I was doing door knocking. Okay, but I was selling candy bars, I was selling Christmas cards, I was selling all kinds of stuff. I was a kid. Okay, this is before parents were concerned about the kids being out on the front lawn. Okay, I'd be gone until the sun went down, no cell phone. Okay, maybe I'd show up, maybe I didn't. If I got hungry, I'd show up sometime.
The street lights got on, we were in trouble.
Right.
So, who here's been to a rifle range? What's the rule at the rifle range?
In the target. Shoot.
Ready?
Shoot down.
Aim, fire, right? What's the rule when you're trying to buy real estate?
Shoot.
Ready? Fire, aim.
I thought that was a typo.
No, that's all.
I was like, oh, he mixed it up.
No.
The typical tendency is to try and make everything align. You know, you have your financing in place, you have a buyer in place, you've checked out everything else, you have multiple exit strategies, you've done all that stuff. In the meantime, somebody else who didn't know any better made an offer. Okay, what did you just do to yourself?
That's analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So who has another barrier that hasn't brought
There you go.
Just, I have the analysis paralysis as well, but I also think that if you're waiting for everything to line up to be perfect before you, well, I would do this, but I need this to happen, or I'm, just trying to wait for everything to line up instead of just going.
That's me. That's Mr. Analysis Paralysis, Mr. IT guy, 40 plus years. I had to know everything about what was going on. I had to know the trades myself. I had to do something. I had to do all this stuff myself. I had to be knowledgeable because I didn't want someone to go and pull the wool over my eyes. Okay, I want to know these numbers. I want to see if these estimates were good. Okay, and if I didn't know whether the estimate was good or not, I had to go now get into it myself, whether it's my own property or somebody else's property, do something similar, get an idea. I had to know all that stuff. Okay, so if you've heard me talk about this in the past 2 sessions that we've been teaching the creative finance, you've heard that I spent well over 20 years trying to learn all this stuff, making sure that I have enough money to go and do it on myself, find the right property. All of these things had to be right. 20 years. Okay, so what was his name? 17-year-old kid? Arush?
Yes, the Rouge.
I wish I was 17 and just did it. Okay? I wish I was 25 and just did it.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You're not a whirlwind, but you've done pretty damn good.
Yeah. So,
You don't think he knows who they are?
You know?
So-
Interesting book. If I can do it, you can too.
Yes.
The one by Goodwin, not the one by Tom Booth. Because all Tom Booth did was rent Rolls Royces in their time.
yeah.
And scantily clad models. That's on the next slide before I convert any worse.
I actually took Tom's class too.
Did you?
Yeah, it's the models that did it for me.
Good one, good one.
Yes.
So it took you a while, but eventually you started, right? So I just want to, put a vote of confidence for everybody who's not 25 and maybe in their 40s or 50s or even 60s and they're just getting started. It's still okay. It doesn't matter if you take 8 years and analyze this stuff to death till you get comfortable.
That's right. Well,
It's
it's one of the
still
things
okay.
it's one of the things that I had back here, right?
You're not too old.
We'd just rather you didn't spend 8 years in analysis paralysis land.
Yeah. Is it too late? Is it too late for me?
No.
No, it's not too late. I'm 66, and if you're younger than 66, you're ahead of me.
Right?
Okay.
That usually teenagers.
And if you're older than 66, then you're in the right place to go ahead and get going because it's never too late. And, but if we could find someone that was Devin's age when he started, 7, we'd love to try and develop him. So as far as I know, Rush is the youngest one that we actually have at 17.
Cool.
Daphne is supposed to be doing her first month.
Okay.
Excellent. Excellent.
And this is what we need. We need younger people to go ahead and learn how to do this because when we talk about doing real estate, we're talking about changing our own life, right? That's our immediate focus. But if you do this at the right point in time, you do it the right way, you are now changing the course of your family. You're making a generational change. Okay, that is a bigger difference than just putting more money into your monthly bank account and paying your own bills, right? You're changing the course of your entire family. And of course, it has to be more than you just hand them a bunch of notes, a bunch of properties, and now they go out, buy nice cars and spend the money and things like that, right? This is what I tell my niece and nephew, right? If you have any ideas, any inkling you're going to do something like that, just tell me now, and I will just blow it on myself, right? Because I worked very hard to get to where I'm at right now, right? I started a long time ago. I started back in the 80s, okay, taking Tom Booth's course, taking Iona's stuff, looking at all these other courses that are available.
Too.
Yeah,
Before she went to prison.
before she went to prison.
That was my guru.
See, so at the time that I was trying to get
I know
education,
Ray.
it was tough.
She was an attorney and a guru and a fraud and a loan scammer. But we had a good basic education.
Yeah, you start from somewhere, and so there was no internet. You don't have real estate clubs like you have right now. You don't have the level of experience. Essentially helping each other, right? We guide each other, right? So most people here, if you ask them a question, they're not going to charge you for that. They'll answer your question, right? There's a lot of times Andy is getting questions. Andy puts out his phone number, says call me anytime. Bill Cook does that. Peter Fortunato does that. I do that
so
as well.
shocked when we answer the phone. If you're not somebody who knows to call, you call me, call any of us and say, I have a question. But I'm shocked you answered the phone. But we all do. So here's the thing. If we don't have people younger than us who learn our language and understand what we're talking about, who the hell do we have to talk to? All my old friends are all dying on me, eh? So anyway, let's get to the calculator question. I think that's coming.
Yep. We're on the.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
This is an interesting one, gang.
Yeah.
Counterintuitive. Fire calculator.
All right. And if you don't know what we're talking about in terms of the calculator, this is what it is. It's the 10BII app. If you look at whatever store you have for your phone, you should see this 10BII when you search for it. It should be around $6 or so.
$5.99.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the first
So,
question?
hey, there's more than one app that's a 10B2 app.
Yes.
You want the one with the boxcar brown logo
There-
from In a Day in K2
Not picture.
because it's the best one.
It's red and orange.
It's the best one, but I will say, I have 2 of the apps on my phone because sometimes I need to hold the deal in one and then use another calculator to hold a different deal in a
That's
second.
fine. As long as they both work the same way.
All the time.
You don't know how to use the reasons key.
Well, I want to say that I need to go for that.
I'm gonna add, if you really cannot afford the $6, you can technically create one through Excel.
Yes. You can duplicate these functions in Excel as well.
Okay, what's the question? We've sold enough of this and Kyle and Kenny still don't give me a commission. Sold hundreds of calculators to them. You think they would, give me a nice Christmas present or something. Okay. You have 10,000 to lend and 2 deals to choose from. Which one will make the most money and why?
For those who might not be able to see everything, I'll read it off. So option A is 12 months at 8%, $10,000 as we stated before, and it's fully amortized. So that means you're going to get a larger monthly payment and you're not going to have anything at the very end. Option B, 12 months also, and this is 6% interest. Also $10,000, and this is interest only, which means you're going to get the $10,000 back at the end of this 12 months.
So who says A? Who says B? Don't all be brave. Well, everybody likes B. Good one.
Okay, so let's look at these numbers and make sure that you have this up on your calculator correctly. And look at that. So option A has a monthly payment of $869.88. Option B, which is the interest only, has only $50 a month. Okay, so just from looking at this, who thinks option A is going to get you more money? Okay, with 1, 2, okay. Who thinks option B is going to get you more money? Okay, for those of you who have the actual calculator app, put your hands down.
Oh, I thought you, sorry, Goodwin.
That's okay. No, that's fine. Because most people, when they look at this, $869.88 a month times 12. That's an awful lot of money versus $50 a month times 12, right? Okay, and 6% and 8%, it's not that much difference, right? And 8%, obviously, it's a higher number, so higher numbers always give us more, right?
Next time you need to figure out what the higher interest rate is that makes it almost balanced.
Yeah.
It'll be a more challenging question. But anyway,
It's pretty close. It's like-
all right, so there we go, 468, total interest. And then 600 total.
Yeah. Option
So-
B, you're $50 a month.
Right. Now, who would choose option B? Who would choose option A?
Longer.
Depends if you're the one borrowing or the one that you're.
Same term.
Yeah, are you the lender?
As a lender.
We're better than.
As a lender. Why do you like that one?
Because I'll put those $868 back out to work immediately.
That's right.
So, get that money working.
That's right. So as a lender, right, so it all depends on the position that you're in and the deal that you're putting this into. Okay, if you're structuring this where you really need the deal to cash flow, then this deal needs to be done as interest only. Now, interest only means you're only going to get this $50 a month. So as a lender, you get $50 a month and you can lend back out again. That doesn't work too well for you as a lender, right? Especially when it's only 6% a month too. Okay? At 8%, and even though I'm going to get less interest, because I'm getting $800+ a month, I can almost lend that out by itself, let alone another $800 every month following that, right? So can I make more money that way? Right? This is something that when you just look at the numbers by itself, it will sway you one way or the other. The deal may also tell you how the structure of the loan needs to go too. Okay, so if I'm going to go ahead and do an interest-only loan at 6% as a lender, I might ask for a part of the deal to help compensate. Okay, give me something at the end that's going to make it worthwhile for me to go ahead and help you cash flow, because I'm giving up my cash flow. I'm giving you 6% when I could be doing other deals at much higher, right? So this is the lender mentality. This is why we want to go and bring this up to you, because you could look at it as there's no right or wrong answer, because it depends on the situation at that point in time. Between a financial friend, where you're not concerned about the return, but you're helping someone out, yeah, maybe you'll be happy to go ahead and do that 6% interest-only loan, to go ahead and help them out of predicament. Because you know, as a financial friend, in the future, if you ask for such a favor as well, they will give you that favor too.
And as a buyer, could you use this technique to convince a seller that they'd rather have a better cash money loan for you? So these are all tools, and you have to realize they have two sides. So think about that when you're trying to negotiate a lower payment on an asset you're buying. Anyway, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who likes this question? How do you like this one? Right? There's twist to it. Yes.
Yeah, I last year or so had an aha moment with this when George Antone was going through a similar thing. And so the answer, if you were going to lend 10 grand out, in this case, if you're busy and you had 10 grand sitting in some account and you lend it to your friend Gary here, and you're not going to do anything else, you're going to just throw the money right back in the account, and you're busy with life, well then take the $600. But if you're an active investor a little bit, and you take 2 payments every month, you took that $800 or $1,600 every 2 months, and turn that and go lend it to somebody else and do it again. The difference, even if the interest rate's the same, 10%, the same money, one's active, one just goes back in the account, is the difference of a 10% return and a 27% return. So option A, if you utilize that over a year, you can triple the return than B, and that's what Andy Goodwin does. And I was reading a book earlier this year, and I said something to Ange, or last year actually now, I said, that's what Andy's doing all the time.
That's why he's so mad when there's 3,000 sitting in a pizza account.
I got that $21,000 idle in the IRAs right now.
Oh my God.
God, just my back.
Which
just
money sitting
itches.
is not good, having money sitting.
Who knows the analogy of cash? Would you like to hear the analogy for cash?
Yes.
Get up in the morning, go to the freezer, take out an ice cube, put it in your pocket, When you get home after work, end of the day, reach into your pocket, take the ice cube out and put it back in the freezer. That's how money works. It melts. And there's a Democrat administration that melts a lot faster. Even one named Trump.
Okay, here's another way to look at it. If you like doing the interest only. Okay, so whether you want to use an analogy of you have 10,000 employees, you have 10,000 stalks of corn that you're growing, you have 10,000 soldiers working for you. Every month, when you take out, because you're getting paid principal, you take out 803 that first month. Okay, the next month you have 10,000 minus the 803, and every successive month you're taking more and more out of that, so you have your interest earning less and less. That's why you see with that option A, you get less interest. But if this $800 or so is being invested elsewhere, and $800, you can almost do something with that right away. Okay, so versus $50, right? You can't do a whole lot with $50, but $800, yeah, you're a lot closer to being able to get something done with it. Certainly with the second month combined together, now you have $1,600. You know, we've had different deals where there's either no money in it, or one stretch where I did $1,000 offer for a wrap, and unfortunately that one didn't go through. But yeah, you can do stuff with small amounts of money. Okay, so if you learn how to use your money creatively, you'll probably want to go ahead and do this. Okay, but there are cases to go ahead and use one or the other. And both of these so far showed monthly payments. There may be times when you will do quarterly payments, biannual payments, annual payments, or no payments at all. Right? But Pete likes to talk about that. And by the way, a lot of these things we're bringing up is kind of like preparation for when Pete is here. This is why we're trying to build that foundation. This is why we're using the analogies and stories that Pete brings up. So that way you're familiar with Pete when he comes here, and that's one less thing to have to try and interpret.
I just remember the first time I heard Pete. I didn't get this preview. So. Yeah, this is very valuable.
Right, and Andy, oftentimes when he travels, he'll see Pete. He just came back from a trip, and Andy will have a Monday morning session. Did you have that this time as well?
Always, the round table.
Yeah.
So, and we'll do a round table after Pete's if we can find a spot.
I'm pretty sure we can find a spot.
So, who brought the deals? I didn't bring the meatballs, but did somebody bring us a good deal? No challenges?
Yeah.
No.
This is an opportunity for you to bring up something that is stumping you, and then now you can bring it out for us to go ahead and help you and try and
There we go, a hand.
It's not a deal, but it's a headache. Basically, I have this property, industrial property in Texas, and I have an empty unit, and we're trying to, basically we can't get the wonderful place rented for like 6 months so far.
Where in Texas? I'm going to give you a
Kellett.
so that way everybody can hear this.
North of Fort Worth.
So you have a industrial complex, something like this?
Yeah, it's like this, and the one unit that's not renting is larger than all the other ones, and of course it doesn't have a roll-up door because it's especially made for newspapers when that was a thing, except that place is long gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big office complex. It's facing the street, and we put it on a loop net, and we just haven't got any bites that are looking for. So it's like 1,500 square foot. And it's an excellent location, amazing demographics. It's basically compared the demographics to like Arcadia, a very rich area.
All right. So, okay, is there some reason you can't divide it?
Money? We could.
Money?
Basically the cost to divide it, the cost to put in a new electric utility and all that stuff. And I probably want to do a roll-up door, so we're talking just guessing, 10,000, 15,000.
That's for new electric roll-up doors and a real partition.
Yeah,
And how much rent will it rent is two? It's 2 suites instead of none.
right. It's just the rents there are kind of dirt cheap.
Okay. So what will it rent is 2 rents instead of none. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's an idea.
More.
Next question. Is there a church in the community?
There's these mega churches in the area. They're like amazing on the size.
Okay.
Basically, there's one church which is this entire industrial complex. It's the same size as that church.
Jeremy, what the hell are they doing?
They have a forklift, they're doing something.
Oh, hopefully it's not picking up my truck.
Told you not to park in front of the roller.
I didn't. I parked between the roll-ups. Anyway,
How do you go after the church market?
I would start by looking for tent providers.
Looking for what?
A church that's moving it, that's having their services in a tent.
Or school.
Or a school.
Yeah.
Or a theater. Yes,
A
Graham.
church plant, basically.
What's Jimmy Akers' 3 rules of negotiation? Ask. Ask. Ask.
I was also thinking you can actually contact one of the bigger churches that maybe they need more space. There's a lot of places that need more space. They might need storage. They, so you could just contact a church within that
One
area.
that fits. Got one, Greg?
What's your goal with the property?
I'm not sure because I'm just helping manage it, and that gets into a lot of family politics. So basically, right now we're kind of very sour on taking care of it because of this empty unit and the headache of trying to remotely manage it from California. Because our idea was as an industrial property, so it requires 0 management, which isn't true. So we're not sure.
So it's 1 unit out of multiple,
Yeah, it's 1 unit out of 14.
and you want to retain the whole building?
At this time we are.
Okay. What else is it around? Any universities or schools, hospitals?
No, it's a rich suburb. So it's right next door to a church. It's across from a shopping center, and that's why we're trying to market it toward as a retail space because it's right on the street. Anything, but just from what I'm seeing, a lot of empty retail places. Amazon, I guess.
Is there enough parking for?
Yes.
How about a brewery?
If you asked a commercial
A
realtor
brewery.
what would best rent there?
We just signed up with one, which we're not getting any responses, so I'm not sure if they're going to do anything. I mean, okay, probably sounds a bit arrogant, but most of the commercial realtors I've seen, their net listings are horrible, and I think I did as good a job. So I'm not really impressed with what they're doing, but it seems to be, well, I've heard third party, a lot of people you know to get stuff rented out there. If you're connected into the local business community, you can get stuff rented. Our smaller units, which are industrial, are rented like hotcakes, good 0 vacancies. This one's just been a headache.
So if you split it in half, you'd be able to rent it pretty quick.
Probably, that's what I've been suggesting.
Are you saying it's divided into offices? Because I know people that are doing, there's a lot of the shared office spaces. You could possibly rent each individual room, maybe make
Executive suite.
one room that's slightly bigger as a conference room. I know people, at least in Florida, that are making some money doing that.
Yeah, we're trying to 0 management if possible, or as little as possible, triple net and all that good stuff.
So have you tried to steal tenants from the other building?
No,
When I've got a mobile home that's giving me grief, which really normally translates to I didn't do a good enough rehab or I got my price optimistically high, I will print up a card that says, why rent when you can own? And I'll stuff all the mailboxes in the nearby apartment buildings. So if you were to tag a whole bunch of businesses, people that could use your space, and say, you say 1,500, 15,000.
1,500. 2,000, I think.
So 2,000 feet for the price of 1,200. Who might like to have an extra 800 feet? Anybody else has a solution for it?
Andy, I got one. This is years ago in another life when I rented a commercial space. We get the occasional calls, and I have a friend that does this today with her place, from the local martial arts studio, yoga studio, some local group where they would need a place for the night as like an event. So you get a local real estate agent or someone on the ground that's interested in managing this part, where you rent it out for a 1-day event, 2-day event, that type of thing, or someone that's starting up a yoga studio, they're in a park, they might go to your place. I have a friend of mine rents her place out to a yoga group, for example, and I forget what it is. It's $100 a day or $200 a day. They need a place to do it that they can go to regularly and kind of have safety, and they can lock the door and don't have to worry about that. But it is definitely a different direction than no management. But if you did that and had it where it's more of an event space to rent out for different events or another thing, or an extra office space. We had in our previous life, having jobs, we had a boardroom at the company we're at, and some of the local companies, they call and say, can we use your boardroom? And they would allow it to do that. Usually clients of ours, but occasionally friends of them. And they didn't charge, but that's just another thing. And it's just something there's not a lot of that, but I don't know. Those are some ideas.
Good, great.
Form a RIA and have the RIA rent the space.
Sounds like you would be
to the
perfect.
point though about
When did we think of
low
that?
TI for like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai studios.
Yeah.
They just need space with mats.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty low budget.
Yeah. Good idea, Stan. Thank you.
There's one that I like. It's an exchanger trick, and if it were condoed, or you might find a flexible way of using this idea, is that you go out to the market and you look at those tenants who really ought to be owners of their space. Okay? And generally speaking, that's going to be a small business, and there's going to be someone at the head of that who really would like a passive investment with a really good tenant. So you offer them the building at a slightly above market rent. You don't want to go way above because it won't fool anyone at the bank. You rent them that building at 15% above market, and in return they own 25% of the building. In your case, you could offer them an option to purchase the entirety of the building at some rate that would make sense to you, 5% below appraised value, or some astronomically high rate that you think that you'd be happy to walk away with, or something tied to a certain date, time frame. Maybe when someone in the family passes, it sells to them. So you could use that space to go find that buyer that would eventually take you out of the building. So that's a fun.
Okay, I'll pass it on.
All right. Who else has a challenge for us? Oh, good. We got one over here.
So,
Wait for the mic, because you can't be as loud as I can when I decide to be loud. There you go.
So I am trying to figure out how to structure or like finance a rehab on a property that the principal payment is $60,000, which I'm gonna get a hard money loan for, but the rehab is $150. The ARV is $375. The contractor has a bid of $150 that he won't go over, but it might be longer than he has estimated around 4 months. But I'm thinking if it takes too long, it could probably be 6. The average days on market in that county with that zip code is like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know because the contractor takes like draws for materials in increments of 10 or 15. I just don't know how to set it up with a private lender to like be able to pay the whole way through until it gets sold. You know what I mean? Like
right.
the hard money is fine. just to lock in the deal.
Right.
But as far as like doing a whole fix and flip and like financing it, like
Okay.
I'm stumped.
We got a bunch of flippers in the room. Who's got a good solution for this youngster?
Farrah said come tomorrow.
That is one way to do it.
I missed the first part of the question.
He's got a 375 ARV project, it's 61 to buy, 150 for the contract. He's actually gonna hire an expensive person to remodel it. And he's just short $150,000, and he'd like to be able to get it in draws as it's earned rather than be paying rent on his money for a long time.
So he's getting all the rehab funds from the private lender after?
Right, instead of the hard money guy.
Or I can change that. I don't know, whatever anybody thinks would be a better way to structure that.
What's that? Well, he's got a house that he claims has a 375 ARV. What other assets do you have?
Pretty much, just whatever cash I have, but nothing like an actual, like, basically like a property that like.
So you're one of those guys that just buys and sells.
Yeah.
You know that's against my religion. That means you're paying the highest possible tax rate.
I don't know.
So the issue that you have a private lender, so they don't know how to do the project.
No, I just don't know how to manage myself through a fix and flip. If I'm doing private money loans and like on some other stuff, and then I'm also wholesaling, but I've never really walked myself the whole way through a fix and flip. I just don't know.
And this is your deal?
Yeah.
You found it?
Yeah.
Where's the hard money lender will fund the?
Yeah, but
Where's the property located?
this is in Ohio.
So
Okay, so
go
you-
find yourself a partner
You know,
that's high in the market, that has connection with contractors, et cetera,
What part of Ohio?
and write your coattails.
Yeah. Give up half the deal, bring in a partner in that's on the ground that's gonna work with you on that. And give up even most of the 60% of the deal, keep 40. You
Yeah.
found the deal, they're doing all the work, they're putting the money up. There's some that'll do that. We know several people that might do that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dale. You're too quiet to interrupt your way in.
Why can't your contractor be your partner if he's so involved in this deal?
Not a good idea.
Well, I don't know who this guy
Greg
is.
Swindle had that similar, have you, Greg?
Yeah, I've been through that.
Yeah, so,
Is it, what city?
This is Spencer, Ohio.
What's that near? Like,
It's I don't even know. It's an hour away from Cleveland.
how do you know this contractor? Not at all?
This is an off-market deal I got from an agent. That has a relationship with the contractor. And that contractor is boots on the ground. But I know that the hard money lender is going to go through the appraisals and probably, and they told me just like have someone they could recommend to me if they think that the contractor is too expensive. But I'm just still not, sure how to finance the rehab. If I should I don't want to go to the hard money lender because I don't want them to have. I just don't want them to.
Well, maybe it's this contractor, maybe it's another one, but suppose you found a partner that did the work of the contractor, a contractor that turned into your partner, so they do all the work, but they get paid at the end of the sale.
Yeah.
So this guy won't do that because he doesn't have enough money to fund his own construction project. Then find another contractor who can fund their own construction project and agrees to get paid more at the end.
See, I have some good suggestions for you, but I'm just really inclined to discourage you from doing your first ever flip on the whole other side of the country.
You think so?
I would wholesale it.
If you like to do a 4-month project, then do a 12-month project.
Yeah, and if you want to
You have
give
to
all
be
of
there
your
to
money
manage
to
it.
your contractor, then go.
What if you did this? If you have confidence in that contractor, don't make him a partner. Okay? Believe me, don't make him a partner. Give him an option. If he completes the project, you say a long term is 4 months?
4 months is the bid.
And how much are you willing to give away of that project to have it be absolutely brainless to you?
As long as it goes through, the success of the flip, honestly, that it doesn't even matter.
So if you were to give them an option, so hire the contractor, okay? And if he finishes in 4 months, C of O, then give him a bonus of an option to purchase the property for 25% below market. Okay? So now he's incentivized, but it's only a 4-month option. And maybe you're generous and say, well, if it goes 5 months, you get it at 15% below market. He's incentivized to put his guys on there to do a good job and get it completed. The problem is if he's not going to make the deadline, his incentive goes away.
And he really
So
stops working.
then you need liquidated damages or some other means. But it's one thought, without making him a partner, a way of incentivizing him, get him to do a good job. And then maybe you can hire a inspection company or something like that to keep an eye on the progress. Or your lender could.
He still has a problem though of funding the project during the construction. So
Yeah, well, there's plenty of people in Ohio that would fund that.
I was going to say, you really need to be in the exchange meeting on Friday morning. If it
Didn't,
6.
didn't they stop that for the
But
summer?
yeah, they're in Ohio.
You know what I personally think
No,
as well?
advantage.
Oh, it's Advantage, yeah.
As a flipper, this is your first flip, you're buying it for 60, but you're putting 150 in, that's a big job.
Yeah.
That's a really big job.
I mean, what are the odds
I
of
think
like,
you
buying
should.
like a whale lender, you know, like just someone who's like, all right, I'll throw that money, I don't care, I'll send it to NYC.
It's just way too much money for you to be doing on your first flip. I mean, that is, if you're putting $150,000, you're basically rebuilding that house.
yeah,
You're rebuilding that house. You're going to end up in trouble.
right. But it's-
Unless you've got somebody that you really know that's doing the work. I wouldn't even, I don't even want to do that after 8 years of doing it.
How big is the house?
If I may,
Good.
just say if I may, 150,000, that's at 10,000 a week, so yeah, 4,000, 4-month project. If you're thinking that if it goes well, you're gonna make 100,000, but if it goes bad, you make 60 or 70. And things don't change. With 4 months or 5 months of headaches, et cetera, across the country, we've done it out of state. We've done several out of state. And we flip here now because of it.
Or you go there. Now go to Florida.
Multiple states, but my point is, you could go sell that off to another investor in Ohio, let them make the big money, you take 20 grand, and if you want to go fly back and hang out on the project and learn the project on their money, and you got paid some money to do it and learn, you've got to go a long way, because I'd rather make something for a little bit of time, like a few minutes of work, make 20 grand for a week's worth of work, instead of 5 months and make 70 or 80 maybe. Take the 20 and go get some other education, learn on it, and you can go do 5 other deals stress-free in the next couple months.
You're going to need a PM to manage that project, especially this far away, because you're not going to be able to trust that contractor.
No, you can't, even ones you've worked with before.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to say something real quick.
Project managers manage that project.
So basically, I know honestly it's your first time here, right?
No, he's
Oh, he's been
You've been
here.
here? Okay, I haven't met you yet. So a couple of times, but you're newer, right? So this is your first deal. Yeah, so it might seem discouraging, like everyone's trying to discourage you from, okay, I just want to make sure, because I know sometimes it might come off that way, but everyone has your best interest at heart. Yeah, okay.
We don't want to see.
I just want to make sure, because this whole up here, like everyone, that's what we're here for, this community.
I needed this stuff, you know?
And you can take that 20 grand you make and just reinvest it over here. At
Yeah, yeah.
You should really tackle it flip here.
Yep.
Look, where houses are affordable. And it's still
I do suggest that you meet up with us afterwards, and Eddie or I can give you the contact information for Ohio, and you can try and see if someone can help solution there. I also have some other contacts in that area that perhaps they may be interested. No guarantees, but
yeah, they're at least there.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time imagining taking a $60,000 house into a $375 house in Ohio. So what's left on our slideshow here? Thanks, we got a couple of good deals to pull together like that.
this is now the networking portion. So
Cool.
who Who has money to lend? Raise your hand. Okay, and
Bring it tomorrow.
who needs to borrow money? Okay.
Please bring it tomorrow.
You should have seen the annual raise, network with these people, but if you have properties that you want to sell, if you have properties that you need to have managed, if you have questions about different things, who's a property manager here, or who has that background? Okay, good. Okay, who knows about short-term rentals and maybe has questions about short-term rentals, midterm rentals?
Whole class on that, right?
Yes, I mean, we have people who are experienced with those as well, so just look at where the hands were raised and start networking with people and build out your network and get your questions answered.
Let's talk about next week.
Okay.
Next week about yes, I guess two things. One is I believe we still have some raffle tickets left, right? For the tables? $50, we're only going to have 24 of them, and you get a $600 prize, which is the stay-at-home Wizard Complete class. So please pony up, buy a couple of raffle tickets, because, Rich has really sunk a lot of cash into giving us a place to have a good club, good events. Now you've got the opportunity to gift some back, and you might win the prize. Second is next week, we're going to play cash flow. Are we doing the kids' tables again?
Sure.
Okay, so bring the little ones with you. The teenagers are better at the adults' table.
Yes. I even 10, 11%.
Yeah. So
We are going to do an exchange report.
Oh,
the
gosh.
exchange board.
You're doing it, right? You're doing it?
Yeah. When I say we, I'll be doing exchange. We're going to try and you throw if the table says no, I'm still working this out in my head, so this is really up here. But if the table says no to a deal, we'll throw it up on an exchange board. So the other tables can maybe have a crack at it.
Cool.
It might completely break the game, it might be awesome.
It'll either be great or it'll stink. Yes.
Andy, I have a question. When you're doing I get pretty good cash flow from some notes. So I have the same problem you do. Well, I'm not serious about it. I wonder if you ever do kind of any group notes when you're doing the 3-10,000 into that effect.
Regularly.
Okay. So I can participate in something like that?
Sure. Just send me an email that you want to be on my small lenders list.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing. Next month, we're going to be running a full exchanger session in this time slot. And so almost the whole 2 hours is going to be spent doing that. We're going to basically do a nighttime version of what we do on a weekly basis. So how many people have not done an exchanger session at all? Okay, so there's a few of you. All right, so spread the word because nighttime is easier for a lot of people to go ahead and attend. This is not a regularly scheduled event, so we're kind of gauging what the interest would be. Daytime, we get a lot of interest. We're getting deals done, so we want to see how it is for the majority of the members of the club who still have the W2 jobs. So try and mark this on your calendar for next month. We're going to be doing a full-blown exchanger session.
And happy, huh?
Well, some of us are still in the rat race, so.
If you're under 30 and you and I have not chatted about $17.67 a day, be sure we have that conversation before you leave tonight. Thank you all for putting up with us. Hopefully this will be the last boring PowerPoint creative finance deal in a while. So they're going to get crazier from here.